Should be live here on social media. Welcome,
Hello, social
everyone.
media.
If you're joining us tonight, we'll be doing our VBC Military Jeopardy. Will be an exciting program as usual.
Now,
Thank you all for joining us.
hello, everyone. Hello, social media. Yeah, we have the Read AI thing that automatically starts now, and I think maybe I set that up, and I'll have to figure out a way to, unless you did.
Military Jeopardy will be a second. We're going to start the music here, and we'll let everybody in.
All right. Well, I like John Kramer's cat. Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Aaron Go Bra. I hope you're all doing well. For those of you who aren't headed out to be merry tonight, we have the event that we've been waiting for since October, which is VBC Jeopardy. We'll do 2 rounds, and we will, plus we'll have a final Jeopardy. This will be open competition, so anybody who wants to try and answer a question, if you think you know the answer, you just raise your electronic hand. Sean, let's do a test to see, get everybody used to raising their electronic hand. If you have the desktop Zoom app on your laptop or tablet, you could just look down at the bottom of your screen and you should see a raise hand function. There, Don Nemchek is helpfully, so is Brad Watchbaugh. Okay, yeah, here we are. Let's all do it. So that's how you raise your hand. If you think you know the answer to the question, raise your hand. And what we'll do is we'll go to the first hand that's raised, and then after somebody answers a question, we'll ask them to sit out until somebody else gets a chance to answer a question. Is that it, Sean? Right?
I believe so, yeah. And maybe we let everybody unmute themselves tonight, just so we don't have to keep clicking unmute. That will help speed things up. So you'll be allowed to unmute yourself, but I may mute you if there's too much noise on your window.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sean. And Sean, I have to say, this is a heavy lift for Sean handling the technical part of it. So I'm very grateful to Sean for doing this. But I'm going to be hosting. So we're going to start with round 1, Jeopardy. Now, if you recall Jeopardy, you have to answer in the form of a question, right, Sean?
That's right.
And I think we give everybody a mulligan. Somebody inevitably, and I'm not going to name names, but I could just picture Larry answering a question and putting it not in the form of a question, right? Answering a challenge and not putting it in the form of a question. If he does that once, he gets a mulligan. That's fine. But if he gets it twice,
you owe BBC $5.
Yeah, exactly. We will just dock your VBC account for $5. Okay, so we have the ground rules, and we're going to start here with the Jeopardy. You will notice the very imaginative categories that we have for this first round. They are Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, who wants to? Let me see. Let me look over and see. Larry Woods, why don't you give a crack at one of these here? Pick one of these categories in dollar amounts.
Let's do Space Force for 100.
Nice. Very
conservative.
good.
Just very I'm going to hit the 100. You didn't go big. I like that.
The Space Force motto.
Oh, we could have stumped you guys already.
Okay, Henry Shepke put a thumbs up. Does that count?
Henry, you can unmute yourself. Raised his hand, though.
Okay.
I think it's like Semper Supra.
Yes. Excellent.
What is Semper Supra?
Yeah. Oh, but you already got your mulligan, man.
You got your mulligan. You got your mulligan. What is
Semper
Supra, which means what? Henry?
I honestly don't remember. I just remember that.
Nancy Smoyer, you can unmute yourself.
Is it always above?
Yes, always above. That's exactly what it is. Always above. Great. Very good. All right. Henry, why don't you pick the next category and dollar amount?
Unmute. Henry.
Let's do Space Force 200.
Space Force 200. Here we go. Name for those serving in the Space Force. Dave Seaver. I think he was the first. Dave?
Yes.
What are the Guardians?
Oh, nice. What is Guardian? Yes, absolutely perfect. Why don't you then choose our next dollar amount and category?
All right. Well, being an Air Force guy, let's go with Air Force for 100.
Air Force for 100. The Navy has Seabees, the Army has engineers, and the Air Force has these.
Larry Woods.
What with a red horse?
Yeah. What is Red Horse? Now, did you know, Larry, that, and I bet you Ben knows this, but I bet he doesn't know what it is. So Red Horse actually stands for something. It's an acronym. Would anybody know what that acronym is? I mean, what a long acronym that is. John, you don't know? Larry, you don't know?
No,
I bet
all I know is they built the base that I was on in Vietnam.
they really did. They
Yep.
built Tuiwa.
Yep. With a contractor, but they built Tuiwa.
Why don't we hear more about Red Horse? I mean, most people who follow like history and the military culture will have heard of the Seabees, but not a Red Horse.
First time I heard about it was, I think, last week on our program.
Yeah, and I think I learned about it from Ben Wright. Ben,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to give a stab at what this stands for? How about try and pick 3 words that are in Red Horse?
Well, I know one of them's readiness, but I don't
Okay.
remember it. Like I say, it's a long acronym.
Yeah,
But I did
readiness.
work with Red Horse and Prime Beef both. Prime Beef is primarily on air bases, but I was always concerned about rapid runway repair. When I was in the base operability business, about sustaining attack and
Yeah.
continuing to operate. But Red Horse got deployed pretty frequently, just like the Seabees to go do all kinds of construction projects.
All kinds of construction stuff. Oh, and you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had the acronym, which I'll try and share it later today. All right. Larry Woods, why don't you pick the next category?
Let's go Space Force for 300.
Here we go. Like the Marine Corps, the Space Force cannot have someone with this rank.
Larry, you raised your hand already. Brad Washabaugh.
Let Brad take it.
Brad, you.
I'm going to say, what is a warrant officer?
No.
Oh,
And I
Going
think these are,
once.
yeah.
Going twice. Anyone take a stab?
Notice it says does not. Okay. What is a 5-star? 011.
okay.
So I don't think there is no 5-star currently active today in any branch of service, correct? Okay.
That was a trick question, of course,
Well,
because
yeah.
it should have been all services, not just the Marine Corps.
No. I specifically, Brad, Colonel, sir,
Yes.
I specifically phrased.
Singled out the Marine Corps once again. Yes.
Oh, I phrased it. I phrased it so that it didn't imply that there was any current 5-star, but
Yeah.
the Army has a place for it. The Navy has a place for it. The Air Force has a place for it. I think even the Coast Guard has a place for a 5-star, but Space Force and Marine Corps does not. Okay. So
Do you know why?
no, why is that?
Because Space Force falls under Department of Air Force and Marine Corps falls under Department of Navy.
That's it. Okay. Okay. Thank
Do I
you.
get points for that or?
You know what? You get a little consideration if it comes down to it.
Get to have a good night's sleep knowing that you answered that question.
There you go. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate that.
All right, here we go. Brad, watch the ball. Why don't you pick the next one? I know Marines 500.
No, I'm going to challenge. I know we got some Army folks around. I'm going to challenge the Army folks. I'm going to go Army for 500. I'm going to go deep.
Whoa.
Okay, here we go. Army for 500. This diagram instructs recruits how to perform this basic training drill command.
Jim Roberts, you can unmute yourself.
What is about face?
Yeah, there you go. In case you don't know how to do it, 1, 2, turn around. I guarantee I would screw that up in basic training. And if you do screw it up in basic training, I imagine you get yelled at.
You're lucky.
If you're lucky. Jim, you want to pick the next one?
Okay, Brad, Marines for 500.
Here we go. Marines for 500. Oh, no. God, these questions. Who comes up with these questions? Number of belt loops on number of who came up with this?
Come on, Trebek.
Number of belt loops on Marine dress blues representing the same number of core values.
It was Chase, I believe.
I have no idea. I'm gonna go with 13.
Oh, man.
That's a lot of belt loops, Chase.
I don't know.
I know, either do I. This is a ridiculous question. And do you know who came up with it?
I have no idea. Probably someone. Oh,
I did. Because I just
very
saw it.
cruel.
Yeah, I'm very cruel. That's exactly it, Chase. I'm sadistic. Colonel, tell us how many belt loops are on Marine dress blues.
Honor, courage, and commitment. There are 3 Marine dress blues. So the answer is, what are 3 belt loops?
You're wrong.
There's only 3 values. Core values: honor, courage, and commitment. So it's got to be 3, unless it's another trick question devised by Todd.
Oh my gosh, we're already deep. What is 7? There are 7 belt loops, and they apparently correspond to 7 core values.
But there's only 3 core values.
Chase, could you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
Chase and Henry, could you look up just on the side there, the core values, Marine Corps core values, 7 Marine Corps core values, and see what
Brad's keyboard is smoking right about it.
I know, really.
I'm only getting honor, courage, and commitment, and that's from the official Marine Corps website.
Maybe I went to the unofficial website.
It was a Todd trick.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, Todd,
There's only 3, and I'm getting that from a Marine Corps general.
Yeah,
You just called.
there's no doubt. There's no doubt, Todd. So I'm going to throw the yellow flag, the penalty flag here.
Okay.
I feel like Brad should get that. That was.
I think Brad should definitely get that, but I'm going to do some research on my own and maybe make something up and get back to you all. Okay. So here we go.
15-yard penalty on you, Cut.
Hey, Todd, why gotcha? Why are the Marines listed 3rd when they really should be 2nd after Army in this Jeopardy thing? By lineage.
Yeah, we're not going by lineage.
Yeah, I can see that.
We should go alphabetically.
All right. Oh, we're only like 13 minutes into this and it's already. All right. Brad, you get to choose the next category.
Are you sure you want me to do this, Todd?
No, I'm not actually. Dave Seaver, could you please choose the next category?
Well, we haven't picked on the Navy yet, so let's go Navy for 100.
Navy for 100. How many Navy admirals became U.S. presidents? Chase?
2.
Ray Brendel.
0.
0. 0. Not the Navy is not a path to the White House, it turns out. At least for admirals.
That's a mulligan.
What is 0?
Yeah, that is a mulligan. Thank you,
Ray,
Brad.
you know better.
Ray, yes, you do. Ray, could you choose the next one?
Let's go Army for, now you got 200 listed twice there, but I assume this is 400 down there?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That is another mistake of mine. And oh my gosh, have I made that mistake all the way across the board? Um, Ray, before we go to this question, I just want to tell you, have you looked on Facebook? We posted that wonderful article that you wrote about your service in Germany on Facebook.
I have not, but I will. Thank you.
Okay, because somebody that you grew up with said, I know this guy. I grew up with him.
Uh-oh. I hope it was good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, nothing incriminating, but it was great. He said he served in the Navy. I think he graduated 2 years ahead of you. And he really enjoyed the article. So I want you to see that. All right, here we go. This command is only used to remove an individual or individuals from a formation, not to end the formation.
Chase, you already answered, so we'll go to Ben Wright. Ben, you can unmute yourself.
What is dismissed?
Oh. Dismissed is to end the formation, as far as I understand. Like, right? If you have a squad in formation and then you want to end it, you say dismissed, and everybody goes. But what if you want one person in the squad to step forward? Jim?
I believe it's fallout. What is fallout?
What is fallout? Exactly. Have you ever given a fallout command when you were a LT?
No, because the drill sergeant was always there in front of them.
Okay.
It was his place, not mine.
Okay. Got it. Why don't you pick the next category?
Let's try Navy for 500.
Navy for 500. What SSBN in the ship above stands for? And the ship above is the USS Ohio. You can see it's a submarine. What does SSBN stand for?
Where's Trey? He would have been on all over this one.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. SSBN. It's a class of Navy. Okay, Jim?
It's just a guess. What is silent service boat number?
No, in fact, I think you've got all 4 words wrong.
That's good. Perfect.
New record.
Bob, well, we have 2 Bobs. Bob McCormick. Let's go Bob McCormick, so your hand was raised first. Let's hope we can hear you now, Bob. Oh, Bob, you're still having mic troubles.
Navy. Ballistic Navy.
Oh, wait. And we can hear you now, Bob McCormick. Go ahead.
It's a ballistic nuclear.
Ballistic nuclear. You got 2 of the words. Definitely 2 of the words. 2 of the words.
Bob Oles, do you want to try the other 2? You got to unmute. We might be having trouble with your...
Bob Oles, unmute.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. Nuclear ballistic submarine. I think I'm missing one.
Yeah, here's what it is. Ship, submersible, ballistic, nuclear. That's what it stands for. SSBN. Okay. Yeah, it's an obscure one. I guess
What you looking at, Russ?
Here we go. All right, Bob Oles, why don't you pick the next category?
I'll go with Marines.
What flavor?
I'll go with Marine Corps, Marines.
We have 100, 200, 300, or 400.
Oh, I'm sorry. 100.
100, here we go. From a Marine himself, the first place the U.S. Marines invaded. Okay, Chase.
Oh God, I forget the name of the ship.
The first place they invaded, not a ship.
Ah, okay.
First place on the map.
Oh,
I'm gonna go to Dave Seaver. Dave?
What is Tripoli?
No.
No. Wow.
No.
Scott Masters?
I was going to say the Barbary Coast.
No. Do you know what? And this may be a little confusing. Because I believe when the Marines invaded this place, the U.S. didn't yet exist. I think the United States of America was created by the Articles of Confederation in 1777. This was invaded, I believe, at the end of 1775, though I could be wrong about that.
Don Nemchek was
Don
next?
Nemchek.
Would it be Tun Tavern, knowing the Marines would invade a tavern first?
That's good. Yes. Yeah, that would, yeah. Nope. This was an actual beach landing that they did during the American Revolution. And I believe it was not contested, but it was intended to take away a possible staging area for the British Navy and Army.
Jim Roberts.
I'm going to rely on my last answer, which had 4 wrong, and try and increase it to 6 and say, what are the halls of Montezuma?
No. Nope.
Bob Oles.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. For some reason, I want to say their first landing was actually Penobscot, Maine.
No. No, this is actually currently a foreign country. I'm just going to show you.
Wait, Scott Masters, one more. Give him one more try.
I got a second guess, and I'm going to go with Quebec.
No. Boy, this is super obscure, believe me. But, and Brad, you could do your history and contradict me here, but it was the Bahamas, Nassau.
that is really random.
You're right.
Hey,
You're absolutely right.
I don't make the history. I just report it. Okay, here we go. Let's go back.
But we all learned something. That's
We
the
all
point
learned
of
something.
tonight.
We all learned something. That's right.
I'll learn we're not as smart as we think we are.
So I'm learning never to do this again. How about Scott Masters? Why don't you choose the next one?
Sure, let's go with Navy for 200.
Navy for 200. Navy ship attacked in Yemen in 2000. Well, Ben remembers this.
Ben, you can unmute.
What is the USS Cole?
Yeah, the USS Cole. Can you believe that was 25 years ago? 25 years ago, and that was ahead. And here's the hole you can see. So this thing remained afloat, and I guess it's because you're able to, close the compartments and limit the damage. How many people were killed? Does anybody remember? Because I
That was 7 or 8, I think, but I
Yeah.
don't remember for sure.
Yeah. I think we have some Cole veterans in our group in the Veterans Breakfast Club, and I would like to contact them to maybe have them on to talk about this episode, because this was a kind of a preview of what would come, of course, the next year. Okay. Let's go back. Ben.
Air Force for 200.
All right, let's get back on track. Air Force for 200. The Key West Agreement of 1948 was a blow to the Air Force because it allowed this. As you could read, the Air Force was created in 1947. This is a meeting that was held in Key West, Florida, among the service branches to kind of split up responsibilities. Brad.
Allowed other services to fly aircraft.
Yeah, we're going to accept that, especially the Navy. It allowed the Naval Air Forces. That was a big bone of contention. The Air Force, the U.S. Air Force wanted to be really the only major Air Force in the country. The Navy wanted to keep what they had and develop what they had, and the Navy was permitted to do that, and that really limited the scope of what the Air Force would be able to command. All right.
Look at risk.
All right, here we go. Brad.
I'd like to choose Coast Guard for 500, please.
Coast Guard for 500. 4 departments under which the United States Coast Guard has fallen. These are
The
cabinet level
1990
departments.
NBC News polling, the
Hold on
majority
one
of
sec. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead, Chase.
Merchant Marines, U.S. Navy.
Nope. No, these are cabinet level. Cabinet level.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Cabinet level. All right, here we go. Ben will know this. There's one that's really tricky.
What is Treasury,
Yeah.
Navy, Homeland Security, and State Department?
No. There's that last one is tricky. You've got them all.
Revenue
essentially.
Service.
That was Treasury. It's Treasury, War/Navy, Homeland Security, and then there's one department that we forget about that before the Department of Homeland Security was created, the Coast Guard fell under this department. So this is
What's the Department of Commerce?
no.
Al Smith.
Transportation?
Yeah, that's it. Transportation. That's right. Treasury, War, Transportation, and Homeland Security. Yeah. Good. Okay. Al, why don't you pick the next one?
300, the Navy, Army.
300 Army. 4 lieutenants pointing north is the nickname for this foliage-themed infantry division patch. 4 lieutenants pointing north is the nickname for this foliage-themed infantry division patch.
Nancy
Oh,
Square?
Nancy knows it.
No, I don't know. I'm guessing. What is the 4th Infantry Division?
Yeah, and that is 4 lieutenants pointing north. Geez, lieutenants get all no love, do they?
My great-grandfather was a military policeman in that unit in World War One.
Oh, really? In World War One?
Yeah, B Company, 4th Infantry Division.
Wow, did he leave any kind of records or stories behind?
No, because he, weirdly enough, he came to the United States in 1917, but after the war ended, he went back to Greece.
Oh, boy. Boy, is that an unusual story. Huh. All right, Nancy, why don't you pick the next one?
Let's do Army for 100.
Army for 100. Green to gold is the Army term for one way an enlisted soldier can do this.
Bobbles.
What is obtain a commission?
Yeah, become an officer. What are the other ways? Yeah, Nancy, what are I think there are like 5 ways, right?
What's a field commission?
Yeah, okay. Field commission or direct commission, maybe. What else? We have West Point.
What's OCS?
OCS.
Direct commission. What's direct commission?
Direct commission. Is that the same as a field commission?
No.
Or battlefield commission?
No, like a legal can come in or doctor can come in. They go directly to a commission.
Okay, got it.
ROTC.
ROTC. That's right.
what this patch is.
That's right. Yeah, and I think green to gold is part of the ROTC program, but it's okay. All right. Bob Oles, why don't you pick the next one?
Okay, let's try Air Force for 300.
Air Force for 300. Until February 2024, when the Navy permitted it, the Air Force was the only branch that allowed members to do this with their hands. Until February 2024, when the Navy permitted it, the Air Force was the only branch that allowed members to do this with their hands.
Brad?
This is going to hurt to say this, but what is put your hands in your pockets?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Why even have pockets if you can't put your hands in them? That's just it's kind of a philosophical question, Brad.
Yes.
Okay. Brad, why don't you pick the next one?
Okay, I'd like to go big again. Air Force 500, please.
Air Force 500. This famous strategic bombing campaign lasted from 1965 to 1968.
John Kramer, you can unmute.
What is Rolling Thunder?
That's it. What is Rolling Thunder? John, would you like to pick the next?
Marines for 200.
Marines for 200. Sword authorized for some Marines to wear. And I do want you to look at this photograph, which depicts the sword in question.
Brad?
I guess
what is the Marine NCO sword?
That's it. That's exactly it.
Is that a rapier?
Pardon me?
Is that like a type of sword? Is that a rapier?
No, it's more like a saber, but it's not a rapier. I think that would be more straight and pointed.
And
It's,
how does
it's more like a hanger, I think, Brad.
and the Mameluke, the officer sword,
yes,
differs how?
It's got a different hilt
Okay.
and say it's scabbard. It's after it was retrieved from the Barbary Pirates campaign was given.
Okay.
So.
And these aren't like if you're an officer in the Marine Corps, must you purchase one of these?
Yes, the Marine Corps has as you go through the basic school, teaches you sword drill, and you must purchase a sword. I was very fortunate. My father wrote to Wilkinson Blade in England, had my sword made special by Wilkinson Blade for me.
Because your father was a Marine, so he understood the significance.
He understood the significance of it, and it's a family heirloom now, very cherished part of my uniform.
And was your father an officer in the Marine Corps?
He was a PFC, private first class, entered the Marine Corps right after World War II, and an expert rifleman. He could shoot better than me even after I became an expert rifleman and pistol shot.
He must have been so proud of you.
Yep. And professional photographer. He could wheel his camera just like a pistol, and he could just sight it and wheel the bullet or wheel the camera to get the capture that he needed. He had an uncanny skill to do that.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Why don't you pick the next question here?
Okay. Again, Space Force for 500, please.
Space Force 500. Ooh, this is a tough one. The idea for an independent Space Force accelerated after China did this on January 11th, 2007. Oh, Dave will know it. Dave?
What is prove satellite shoot down capability?
Yeah. Yes. They launched an anti-satellite missile test. They shot down one of their own satellites, and I believe they were the first to do it, at least the first.
And created a huge debris field in space.
They really did, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dave, why don't you pick the next one?
All righty. Well, let's just finish off the Air Force for 200 times 2.
Army and Marines used to have this rank. Air Force still does.
Jim Roberts.
What is technical sergeant?
That's it. What is technical sergeant? Excellent. Jim Roberts, why don't you pick the next one?
Let's do Army for 200.
Okay, let's get Army off the board. The Army name for this patch is shape, but it won't soothe a sore throat. This patch here, what shape is it?
I'll try it.
Yep.
What is a lozenge?
What is a lozenge? That's it. And when I was looking for a photo of a lozenge shape, I found this on a calculator. What in the world, what kind of function is this? A lozenge shape on an old calculator?
That was before my time.
Yeah, long before your time, Sean. But I'd never recall seeing this shape on a calculator. Okay.
My generation got rid of that. We were like, what are you doing with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe it? When Brad and Jim Roberts and Dave Seaver and I and Bob Oles, when we went to school, Sean, we were told that you couldn't bring a calculator into class because it was cheating.
Wow.
That's how old
Did you have an abacus?
Todd, they didn't exist when we went to school.
No. Yeah. They didn't
We used slide rules.
Slide rules. That's right. That's right. Okay. Sean,
Cool.
you get to
I'll
pick the next one.
Coast Guard for 400.
Coast Guard for 400. Here we go. Alone among the service branches, the USCG is empowered to do this, both at home and overseas. They're the only service branch that can do this.
Ray Brendel.
What is arrest?
Exactly. What is law enforcement? They can arrest people. Absolutely. Yep. And they do it all the time here in Pittsburgh, where we have Three Rivers and a lot of drunken boats people. Okay. So, Ray, why don't you pick the next one?
Let's go Marines for 400.
Marines for 400. Common Army headwear Marines don't use.
Their brain.
Oh my God. Brad, please note that I did not say that.
I'll be here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to answer?
Yes, please do.
What is a cap?
What is a what? A cap?
Yes.
No.
Marines don't wear caps, they wear covers.
Okay, well, this is a cover, but the Marines aren't issued one. Or the Marines, the Army, it's fairly common for the Army to wear this kind of cover.
What's a beret?
Yeah, thank you so much. What is a beret? There you go. The Marines don't have one.
We don't wear a cap either, of course. That's a technical trick question again, Todd. But, you know. Bob Oles, back me up. Come on.
Bill Boswell.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
You got it.
Bill Boswell.
You're getting meritoriously promoted, Bob.
Sounds good.
Hey, Bill Boswell, why don't you pick the next one?
Coast Guard 300.
Coast Guard 300. Oh, this famous author got his start as a Coast Guard petty officer first class in the rating of journalist. And he was a career Coast Guardsman.
Bob Bargain.
Alex Haley.
Yeah, Alex Haley. How'd you know that, Bob?
I used to be in the Coast Guard.
Oh, that's right. It went like in high school, right?
Before the Air Force got me.
Before the Air Force got you. Okay, why don't you pick the next one, Bob?
Coast Guard for 100.
In the Coast Guard, every ship longer than 65 feet is called this.
Dave Seaver.
What is a cutter?
That's it. What is a cutter? What is a cutter? Okay. Dave, you want to pick the next one?
How about Navy for 300?
Navy 300. Kathleen A. McGrath's historical distinction.
I'll answer. What is the first female captain of a ship?
Yep, you got it. What is the first woman to command a Navy ship? That's it. Sean, excellent. Why don't you pick the next one?
Space Force 400.
Oh, the Space Force dress uniform is the only one in the U.S. Armed Forces to feature this.
Ben Wright.
What is a slanted front?
Thank you. Yeah, this was going to be hard to. This is how I defined it. What are offset buttons? Off-center buttons. And here's a young Space Forceman right there. Yeah, I think they're the only. There's no other dress uniform that has that kind of feature. Okay.
None that I know of.
Nope. All right. Yeah. Back to panel. Okay. Ben, why don't you pick the next one?
Let's go Marines for 300.
Marines for 300. Famous Army veteran who said the Marines have a propaganda machine almost equal to Stalin's. Who came up with these insulting?
Who was Harry S. Truman?
Thank you. Who was Harry S. Truman, who definitely had a problem with the Marine Corps? All right, here we go. Bill, why don't you pick the next one?
Well, there aren't many choices left. How about Navy for 200?
Here we go. A TV innovation that debuted during the Army-Navy game of 1963. Ray knows what this one is because he knows everything about TV. Ray?
What is instant replay?
That's it. What is instant replay? And
I
it
was going to
was
say
easy.
Technicolor, so I'm glad I didn't answer.
Yeah, instant replay. That's exactly it. And then here's the last one. Coast Guard. Famous United States Coast Guard veteran who became a golf champion.
I would not have guessed that this would stump you guys.
Sean, I didn't know it. It came up in conversation recently with somebody, and that's the only reason I knew it. Because somebody brought it up and I'd never known it. And I'll just say this will give it away. I think being from Western Pennsylvania, I was very surprised that I had not known it. Ray Brendel.
What is Arnold Palmer?
Yeah. Arnold Palmer was in the Coast Guard.
Going to be my answer.
How about that? All right. So that's the first round. I want to let people know that we are having on Thursday night, we are having a screening of a film about Italian POWs in the United States. And that will be at 7 p.m. We'll be screening the film and then talking with the filmmaker afterwards. And we'll also be back here next Monday. What's the program next Monday, Sean? I'm drawing a blank here.
The program next Monday will be Marine Force Recon in Vietnam.
And Glenn Flickinger is going to be hosting that. Marine Force Recon in Vietnam. Man, what a wonderful subject that is. All right. Are we all good? Are we ready for round two?
We're good. We're
All
warmed
right.
up now.
I'm just going to look at the okay, the lozenge key is subtotal. Thank you, Mark Spirdigliosi. All right. Thank you for that. Chase likes John Kramer's cat. That's good. All right. Now we're ready to go. Here is round two. No, sorry. Dum. Okay, hold on a second. Let me get rid of this one. There we go. All right. Here is round two. And these are a little bit more imaginative categories. AKA, which means also known as, still going, which means older pieces of equipment or ships or models of aircraft that are still in operation after all these years. Acronyms, lesser known military operations, presidents of the United States who were Army veterans, and then weapons. Let's have Ray Brendel. Why don't you start us off with our first question here?
Let's try Army Vet POTUS for 500.
All right, here we go. You asked for it. What happened here? Don't tell me Hold on. All right, I'm going to start this over again. Let's see here. Didn't we have this problem last time, Sean?
It did jump around a little bit last time. Might just be the app that I mean, it's probably like the best Jeopardy app on the computer, but
hold on.
Technicalities happen.
Okay. Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Let everybody know here, if you are new to us, which I see a lot of familiar faces here, but if you are new to us, Veterans Breakfast Club, our mission is creating communities of listening around veterans and their stories to connect, educate, heal, and inspire. Check us out on our website, veteransbreakfastclub.org. On there, you can check out the new and upcoming programs, not only just our online programs, which are on every Monday and Thursday night, but please check out our upcoming in-person programs here in Western PA as we're getting back to in-person breakfast this Saturday. Can you believe that we've already gone through 2.5 months of winter here in Pittsburgh? We're getting back to the good weather. So this Saturday, we're going to be up in Butler. Let your friends know. Come check us out and have a breakfast with us. And then the following week on the 29th, we are going to be at the Heinz History Center for our big Vietnam Veterans Day commemoration. This is the last commemoration that we'll be doing for the 50th. Was it the 50th anniversary?
Yeah, the last official 50th anniversary.
The last official 50th anniversary commemoration at Heinz History Center. It's a great program last year. It'll be great again this year. Lots of good speakers, lots of good stories that will be had. And then we're right back into it. We have a lot of in-person breakfasts this year, so please check out that schedule. And if you are not coming to the Heinz History Center, we are doing a special edition magazine for the Heinz History Center specifically. So you may be able to snag a copy from us if you're kind and you ask nicely. I'm used to saying that to my 5-year-old all the time. So
I'm getting there. Hold on a second. Most of these work, but some of them are off, and I just want to see how hard it is to fix it. Okay.
Wait, can I ask you a question while you're fixing the board, Todd?
Yes.
Does anybody know anything about the Space Force? I know it was just created a couple years back, but do they have a base somewhere?
Yeah.
How many
Yes.
members do they have? Where do they do basic training?
My nephew's a bird colonel in the Space Force. He works outside of Washington, but their base was supposed to be out in Colorado,
Buckley,
where a lot of them used to work.
Peterson.
And they're doing some interesting stuff, with looking at what's things like satellites. I don't know, they do the satellites that control your GPS, also satellites for any kind of intelligence, defense, that sort of thing, working on the Golden Shield, that's kind of things. Ben, you know some things about it too.
Oh, yes. Cheyenne Mountain, Peterson Field, Vandenberg in California, anywhere that was working space stuff in the Air Force before it became a separate branch of the service, changed over to Space Force.
Thank you.
I think we've done 1 or 2 programs over the last several years on Space Force, and had somebody on that joined us that kind of gave us the gist of what they were up to.
Okay, so here's how we're going to do this, guys. We're going to go through all the columns except for Army Vet POTUS. Okay, and then we'll do that separately. All right. So, Ray Brendel, choose a category and dollar amount, except it can't be Army Vet POTUS, because we're going to do that at the end.
Okay.
Show the screen.
Oh. All right, here we go. Just testing you guys, making sure you're paying attention.
We didn't tell Todd how many mulligans he was going to get.
Yeah, exactly, really. All right, guys. Ray.
All right, let's go. Also known as for 500.
Also known as for 500. A term Americans picked up after a Saigon newspaper referred to the Vietnam Cong San, or Vietnamese communists, in 1956.
Larry Woods.
What is Viet Cong?
That's it. What is Viet Cong? Larry.
2 AKA for 400.
Hey, Al Smith, we're going to mute you just because we're getting feedback from you there. Okay. I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
AKA for 400.
AKA for 400. Affectionately referred to as spooky in Vietnam. Ben Wright.
What are gunships?
Yeah, what kind of gunships, though? Wasn't this very specific?
Yeah,
model?
well, C-47 was the first one to be called spooky.
Okay, but there are others. Yeah, AC-47. So were there other models called spooky?
Well, when they first put 130s as gunships, they called them spooky, but then they started calling them Spectre.
Spectre, okay.
They also
And 119s also.
Yeah, 119s. Yeah, I forgot about them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I used to work with a guy who was the flare kicker on a C-119.
And what's a flare kicker?
He's the guy who put the flares out so they could see what they were shooting
Okay.
at.
Got it.
Some of those 119s came from Pittsburgh.
Oh, really? From the 9/11 airlift
They
wing?
were flown by several of the pilots from Pittsburgh. Flew them across the Pacific.
Boy, oh boy. In Vietnam, from the 9/11 airlift wing.
Yeah.
Bob Van Bargen, can you pick the next one?
AKA 100.
Did I call you Van Bargen? I'm sorry.
Add it to the mulligans, Tom.
Yeah, seriously. Officially called the Honorable Service Lapel Button between 1925 and 1946. Again, also known as. So what was the
Don.
nickname for this? Don Nemchek.
Yes. Would it be, what is ruptured duck?
That's it. What is
I
ruptured
was gonna
duck?
get that.
There we go. All right.
Chase.
Don, why
What
don't you
is
pick the next
ruptured
one?
duck? That's really interesting.
Yeah, why was it called ruptured duck?
Because of the appearance. It looked like it had wings on it. Resembled a duck of some sort.
Yeah, it didn't look like a normal
No.
eagle, didn't have a normal eagle wing spread.
It also replaced the original World War One red stripe that would go on your lower cuff sleeve.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So on World War One uniforms, when you would get back from the service, you would have your overseas sleeves for your time
Yes.
in France.
Yes.
And then you would have a red upside down V cuff like insignia for honorable discharge.
Right. And those buttons the ruptured duck button after World War II, I just remember reading, was so important because, it was to signify that you weren't 4F and that you actually had served, but weren't. So if you were in civilian uniform and the war was still going on, it showed that you had actually served. Okay. Don Nemchek, why don't you pick the next one?
Okay. What about acronyms for 500?
Acronyms for 500? ABU. Dave Seaver, I was going to say, he'll be the only one who gets this.
What is Airman Battle Uniform? I still have a couple.
Airman Battle Uniform. That's exactly it. Yep.
Ugliest uniforms we ever had to wear.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Those green boots were hideous.
All right. Hold on a second here. I'm going to have to reset this a little bit.
Why was that the plane that we just saw, why was it painted like shades of green? Why wouldn't it be painted like the sky?
Oh boy, that's a good question. That was a debate in World War II, because if it's painted green, then it is camouflaged against the ground from above. If it's painted gray, it's camouflaged against the sky from below. So you have to kind of figure where's your enemy going to be? Okay. Are they more likely to be above you or below you? All right. Let's see. Dave Seaver.
Oh, how about weapons for 100?
Weapons for 100. This M84 grenade is non-lethal, doesn't explode, and debilitates enemies with this.
Chase?
What is a stun grenade?
It is a stun grenade. How does it stun?
Oh, God.
What does it use? What does it use to stun? It's considered non-lethal.
Jim Roberts?
It'll do damage.
What is tear gas?
No, not tear gas.
Brad?
What is a flashbang?
Yeah, flashbang. And what would that? So how does it stun, Brad?
Well, it just disorients because you get a bright flash and a loud noise, and for a moment, the person is disoriented.
Yeah, it's light and sound. It uses light and sound to stun and disorient. I can't imagine how loud it must be. Oh, all right. Brad, why don't you pick the next one?
I'd like to go weapons for 400, please.
Weapons for 400. The introduction of this missile in Europe in 1983 helped lead the world to the brink of nuclear war. It was very controversial internationally, if you recall, in 1983, when the U.S. introduced this into Europe. And Al will remember this. Al.
I think I'll remember it. ICBM?
Yeah, it was a kind of ICBM. It was, I think it wasn't intercontinental. It was It was a ballistic missile, but it wasn't. It had a range of like 1,000 kilometers or something like that. Maybe 2,000. Ray Brendel?
Ray Brendel?
Would it be laser? What is laser guided?
No, I'm looking for a specific name for this missile, like, Minuteman.
Sorry.
A specific name. All right, I'm going to share it.
Can I throw one out there?
Sure.
Oh, then never mind it. Too late.
Was that right?
Yeah.
That was it.
Robert Bonifant in the chat got it right. What is Pershing missile?
Yeah, what is the Pershing 2? The Pershing 2. And this has a really interesting history. I won't go into it, but it did not have the range that the Soviet Union thought it had. The Soviets were certain that it could hit Moscow and beyond. It couldn't. And there's been some historians have tried to figure out how the Soviets got it so wrong. And it's probably because they were fed misinformation by the CIA. But it caused a real problem in the Cold War. All right, let's go to Larry Googans. Why don't you pick the next one?
You can unmute yourself, Larry.
Hold on. I don't know any of these answers. Well, the closest I can come is weapons. So let's go 500.
500 with weapons. The AR and AR-15 stands for this. Jim Roberts will know.
Automatic. What is automatic rifle?
No, I thought it was. I thought it actually was something else. Dave Seaver?
What is Armalite rifle?
Yeah, how did you know that?
Because that's who originally made it, was Armalite.
Yeah, it was Armalite was the company that originally made it, like back in the 50s. Yeah. I thought it stood for like assault rifle or
Stoner
something.
was the name of the guy who designed. I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Stoner.
Huh.
I only know the answer because of the IRA.
We always thought that Mattel made it.
And Mattel did make it, correct?
No, we thought that Mattel made it.
Did they? Wasn't there a Mattel stamp though on some of the M16s in Vietnam? Or is that an urban myth?
That was the rumor. The rumor was it said made by Mattel on the butt.
Okay, but nobody.
That was our humor for it.
That was okay. Dave Seaver, why don't you pick the next one?
We're doing so great with weapons. Let's do weapons for 300.
Here we go. This World War II era submachine gun, known for inaccuracy, received its nickname because of its resemblance to a mechanic's tool. Jace?
What is the grease gun?
Yes, the grease gun. And it sure does look like a grease gun, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I like the design, though. It's nice and simple, compact, perfect for tank crews.
Yes, and I do remember hearing that it was wildly inaccurate. Okay. Chase, why don't you pick the next one?
All right. Still going for 200.
Still going for 200. Good choice. Named after a medieval Scottish sword, this weapon comes with the helpful instruction, front toward enemy.
Bob McCormick?
Bob knows.
What is a Claymore mine?
That's it. What is a Claymore? There it is. Still kicking after 60 years or so. Still around.
And there is nothing like rolling a patient on a litter and finding one under his back.
Oh, no.
Because we had that happen in Afghanistan.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I read about a guy that got an RPG stuck in his leg, but I didn't think a Claymore.
No, well, he just had it with him, and they didn't anti-hijack him on the other end before they sent him to Bagram.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, because we did it before. You do it going into your facility and out of your facility, and he had a Claymore mine sitting under his back.
Sitting under him. Jeez.
That'll raise your pucker factor just a little bit.
All right. Who gets to Dave Seaver? You pick the next one.
Well, let's finish off weapons. 200.
Here we go. This TOW missile uses technology represented by the W in its name. Jim?
What is wire?
Yeah, has a wire. Tube launched, optically tracked, wire guided. That's why it's TOW. All right.
Does the wire detach? Like, how does that work?
Great question.
It stays with the weapon. It'll break off, during the explosion, but during Desert Storm, we found numerous wires laying on the sand in the desert.
All right, because I always wondered that, because I was like, what is the point of putting a wire than having it stuck?
So Brad, you
Yes.
shoot the weapon and the shell is connected to the wire.
Yes.
And the shell carries the wire.
Well, as the gunner looks through the sight and moves the sight against a target, it sends an impulse down through the wire to rockets that are mounted on the rocket that can move it left, right, up, and down. So when you fire that weapon, the most crucial part is after you fire it initially, the gunner can sometimes flinch due to the blast, and the rocket will go right into the ground. So a lot of the training is done with simulations and noise so that the gunner does not flinch. He needs to keep the crosshairs on the target and track the target as it goes down range. And you'll see the rocket adjust on the way down. And upon impact, you got it.
That is incredible. I did not know that.
One of the concerns is it can give your position away if you're once you fire it, because there is some reaction when the weapon's fired.
Yeah, you'll see a blast coming off. Not as bad as a recoilless rifle, though,
No.
Jim.
No, but you do give your position away when you fire one.
When you fire one. And they're used mainly against what kind of targets?
Tanks out over 3,000 meters. They're fairly accurate, but it requires a well-trained crew, a gunner, to do that.
And you used to instruct in that?
Yes,
Brad?
we used to have a class that would allow to fire 2 tow missiles at the end, and I used to write a letter home to the parents when the gunner hit the target successfully. I'd send a letter home and saying, "I just want to tell you how proud I am of your son. He successfully engaged a target. He was selected due to his skills and whatnot, and it was always well received when the letter got home. And one time I did it, and then 3 years later, this Marine was trying to get my attention in the PX, and he said, "You don't know who I am, but I am Lieutenant so-and-so. When I was at your command, you sent a letter home to my parents. I did hit the target. That letter reached my dad as he was dying of cancer at the hospital before I could get home, and he was clutching it in his hand when he died. And it meant so much to our family for you to do that small thing. So, I always learn from that. Do the small things. You may never know what it amounts to, but it does make a difference."
And Brad, that is wonderful advice through life.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's a wonderful story. Thank you for that. Brad, could you pick the next one?
I'd like to try AKA for 300, please.
AKA for 300. What DIs are referring to when they say, "We call her Ma Deuce because she's your second mother and will take care of you."
Dave.
What are they referring to when they say Ma Deuce? Dave
Yeah.
Seaver. Oh, no, Bob McCormick.
50 caliber machine gun.
Yes, right? The M2, 50 caliber? Okay. Which is an oldie. All right, Bob McCormick, why don't you pick the next one?
Lesser known Ops 100. Try something different.
Lesser known Ops 100. This Operation Menu, was a secret in 1969. What was Operation Menu? Were you in Vietnam in 1969, Bob? I can't remember.
No, I was in Italy.
Okay, you were in Italy. Operation Menu. It was a secret. It was leaked to the press, and boy, did it cause a controversy back home. Operation Menu. Oh, Larry Googans has to know.
Nope, have no idea. No.
It was bombing a neutral country.
Oh, I thought it was the storing of nuclear weapons.
No, Operation Menu was the secret bombing of Cambodia.
Well, guess what? Didn't know that, but did it.
you were probably part of it.
Yeah, probably was,
Yeah.
but I had no idea what it was called. All I know is we couldn't, we had to avoid that was the Angkor Wat, is that what it's called?
Angkor Wat, yeah.
Yeah. But what like 10 miles away from it.
Larry, why don't you pick the next one?
Yeah, there you go again. I gotta remember it, not talk. Let's see. I don't know any of this stuff really. Let's go with well, let's do the AKA 400.
AKA 400. Oh, we already did this.
We
do
did that one.
another one. Do another one.
Do 200.
I could have got that one.
Okay, officially called opener.
Yeah.
Can hand folding type 1.
Yeah. I think we know
Jim Roberts.
What is a P-38?
That's it. What is the good old P-38?
Also known as a John Wayne.
Also known as a John Wayne. That's right. Why would that be known as a John Wayne?
I have no idea.
I know. All right. Jim Roberts, why don't you pick the next one?
Oh, let's finish AKA for 100.
Officially called, we already did this. Okay, still going for 100. I'm going to pick it. Named after a northeastern woodland Native American tribe, this vehicle debuted in 1956 and is the most recognizable icon of the Vietnam War. Chase?
What is the Huey?
Yeah, that's it. What is the Bell UH-1 Iroquois helicopter? And I think the Air Force still has at least one in operation. Not the Army. I think the Army finally retired the last one maybe 5 to 10 years ago. But I think the Air Force still has a few flying.
They have them at Andrews Air Force Base in D.C.
Do they?
To do security patrols around there. However, Maxwell Air Force Base has become the training base for the new Sikorsky helicopter that they're going to replace them with.
Okay, so they're slated for replacement.
Correct.
So,
and when I was at Maxwell a couple of years ago doing ROTC field training, they were reconfiguring the base for that purpose down there.
Okay. Why don't you pick the next one? Chase, why don't you pick the next one?
Lesser known ops for 300.
Lesser known ops for 300. Oh, it was called Operation Power Pack. And what was it? Operation Power Pack. I could give you a hint. It happened in 1965. So one of the reasons it was lesser known was because it happened during the Vietnam War. And so it was kind of a sideshow. And there wasn't significant fighting. But the anticipation was that there would be. Bob.
Dominican Republic.
You bet. Invasion of the Dominican Republic in April 1965. Bob, you get to pick the next one.
Acronyms 100.
Acronyms 100. Sonar, what does it stand for?
Sonic. Sound.
The R is ranging, I believe.
Yeah. Sound and ranging. Here we go. Sound, navigation, and ranging.
Oh, I should have got that.
Yep. Sound, navigation, and ranging. All right. Bob, you get to pick the next one.
Acronyms 200.
Here we go. OCONUS.
Dave Sieber.
Outside Continental United. What is outside Continental United States?
I think we got to give it to him, Sean.
Yeah.
I think he saved it just in time. All right, Dave Siever, pick the next one.
Thanks. Let me see. Well, we can't get into that category, so let's go with still going for 500.
Still going for 500. The oldest Navy ship in the fleet, still used for military operations. And that's the key. It's still used for military operations. So it's not.
Susie.
Wait a minute.
You can unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah. What is the USS Constitution?
No.
Ah!
Susie. Susie, come on. You and I toured the Constitution together,
Yes, we did.
and it was awesome.
Yes.
But it's a ceremonial showpiece historic ship. It's a commissioned Navy ship, but you know, you're not going to use it in military operations, right?
True. All right,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So this one is used in military operations still, and I think it was laid down in 1971. And it is the USS Blue Ridge. Okay.
That's a
Susie?
command and control ship, Todd, used in amphibious operations.
Yes, command and control ship. Exactly. Susie, why don't you pick the next category?
Still going for 400.
This workhorse made its debut hauling artillery in Vietnam in 1966. Jim? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I did that to
What
you.
is a Chinook helicopter?
Yeah, what is a Chinook helicopter? That's exactly it. Do you remember seeing Chinook helicopters in Vietnam?
Saw them all the time.
Yeah.
Never rode on them once and didn't like that. Too many people in one place.
Oh, too big of a target.
Right.
I'm going to pick, still going. This ICBM debuted during JFK's administration.
Larry.
Is a Minuteman missile?
Did you guard these?
Yes.
In where? North Dakota?
Yeah, we had them in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. They were all over the central part of the north central part of the U.S.
And these could fly from North Dakota and strike the Soviet Union.
Yes, with multiple warheads.
With multiple warheads. And that was I think that was the unique feature of them. I think they were the first multiple warhead missile. I think.
Ben's brother, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the command officers that would actually fire the missile.
Wow.
And he served in Grand Forks as well.
Boy. Larry, why don't you pick the next one?
Acronyms for 400.
DFAC. Again, Dave Seaver will be the only one who knows this. Because, right?
What is dining facility?
Yeah, dining facilities. DFAC.
Where'd the A and the C go?
DFAC, dining facility.
FAC,
Oh.
DFAC. Yeah.
When I was in Kuwait, it was right across the street.
Why don't you just call it the mess hall?
Because it's not messy. I don't know.
But that's what it used to be called.
Not called the M Hall.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Acronym for 300, COB. Oh, this is Navy. This is a Navy term. This is a Navy term. Only Navy people will know it. I think it's a strange term, but it's official. Bob McCormick, do you know it?
Commander of boat. It's a submarine thing. What is?
Yeah, chief of boat. Chief of boat. And it's an actual Navy term. It seems chief of the boat? That seems like a made up. Rick Arisman, explain this. Do you know what this is? I'm looking for a Navy vet. Chief of the boat. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not. Never.
Yeah. It has to do with submarines. I know that.
Those
Yeah,
coming on
much more
board.
than that.
Submarines
It's
always
the
have
chief petty officer of the boat.
Okay, the chief petty officer. But okay, here's the question though. What if it's a ship?
Then it's not a boat.
Then it's not a cob.
But it is. Okay, because you'll have a chief of the boat that's on a ship, but they still call it chief of the boat. All right. The Navy. The Navy just drives me nuts. Okay. Let's go with lesser known Ops 200. It was called Operation Big Switch, and it took place in Korea in 1953. And it was big. It was big. Scott, thank
Masters.
What is the Incheon landing?
you. No. This is 1953. I'll
Oh.
give you a hint. It was at the end. It was at the end of the war, after the armistice was signed.
Prisoner exchange.
Thank you, John. John Ferguson, thank you. It was a prisoner exchange, and man, was it crazy. And I think that the exchange of prisoners was the one issue more than any other that prolonged the Korean War. And it was specifically, would North Korean soldiers who did not want to go back, who had been captured, they did not want to be repatriated, would the United Nations forces repatriate these North Korean POWs? That was the big hang up in negotiations. All right.
And what happened? What were they repatriated?
They were mostly repatriated, yes. Lesser known Ops 400. The 1962 Plan for Information Gathering, Sabotage, Civil Insurrection, and Overthrow of the Cuban Government. It had a name.
Bay of Pigs.
No. This was information gathering, sabotage. This was a long-term operation. I think it was inter-service, but CIA was a big part of it. Operation Mongoose.
Oh.
Operation Mongoose. All right, and then we're gonna finish off lesser known ops. American name for UNITAF, Humanitarian Intervention in Somalia, 1992 to 1993. Yeah, Scott?
What is Restore Hope?
Yeah. And I must remind people, Scott Masters was on the Jeopardy with Alex Trebek. What year was that, Scott?
That was March 26, 1997, a date I will forever remember.
Yes, and he had hair then.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna do Army Vet POTUS, and we're gonna do them in order. Let's see here. Okay.
I was not keeping score tonight, so hopefully everybody, if you were answering your questions and you wanted to keep your own score, you could put it into the chat about what you have.
Okay. Here we
If
go.
you are negative, you owe us that dollar amount.
So here's what I did.
And I'm screwed.
Yeah. One time we did keep, yeah. Okay. Because it is negative. I forgot that you get minus points too.
I'll give you the check on Saturday.
All right, here's 100 Army Vet POTUS. This World War I vet's eyesight was so bad, he had to cheat on the eye test to get into the National Guard. He had terrible vision, always had terrible vision, and he loved the Army. In fact, I think that he retired from the Army after he retired from the White House. I think he retired a brigadier general, which very few people knew.
Go Bill Boswell.
Who is Harry S. Truman?
That's it. Harry Truman. Well, yeah. That is Harry Truman. Yes.
I found his World War I uniform for sale.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
He was in the artillery corps. And they had like a whole bunch of photographs and all the paperwork and all that. Shell handler, his rank and all that.
All right, here's the next one. After the Civil War, 7 consecutive presidents were Civil War veterans.
William McKinley.
John Ferguson. First of all, you didn't raise your hand.
Well, who was William McKinley?
Second of all, you didn't say it in the form of a question.
Who was William McKinley?
Yes.
Keep it up, John.
I'll get it right. Third time's the charm.
Who is William McKinley? There he is. That's right. Who is William McKinley? That's exactly it. All right. Here's the next one. This major general in the Mexican War became a national hero, was elected president, then he died in office.
Who was Zachary Taylor?
John's done for the night.
John. John. You said it in the form of a question, and you got the question right. Who is Zachary Taylor? Yes. Okay. Now I had heard that that Zachary Taylor died in office, right? And he died shortly after drinking milk and eating a lot of strawberries. And the history books would say that's how he died. But that is not how he died. He died from a waterborne illness because the White House water source was contaminated with human waste.
It was all swamp.
I don't know which death is more embarrassing.
Well, a lot of people died in the White House around this time, starting with William Henry Harrison, even before, starting with William Henry Harrison. John Tyler, I think, died shortly after he left office. Abraham Lincoln's son died. There was about a 10-year period where every year somebody died in the White House, and it was from drinking the water. And it was because the spring that they got their water source from, that was run in a pipe to the White House, was below grade from what was called the night soil collection pond, where human waste was scooped up every day off the streets and was put into this collection pond, and it leached into the spring water, and it was getting people sick. And they didn't have any idea, of course, at the time what caused, but Zachary Taylor was one of the victims. All right, so here we go. This Army vet POTUS is the only one, and Mark Spiridigliosi, you're going to have to answer this. This Army vet POTUS is the only one never to rise above private. Mark Spiridigliosi, if you're still on.
Yeah, I'm still here, but I would imagine my guess is Teddy Roosevelt.
No. Mark, you live where this president came from.
James Buchanan.
Yes, James Buchanan. James Buchanan never rose above the rank of private.
Oh, who was James Buchanan?
Yeah, who is James Buchanan? and you live near his home. It is near you, and it's a museum home, right?
Right. It's called Wheatland.
Wheatland. And have you ever been there?
Yes, I have been. And his niece was his first lady.
Yeah, his niece was his first lady. Would you recommend that people visit Wheatland? Should I go to Wheatland?
I would say go there in a New York minute. It's
really,
it's well worth the tour.
It's well worth the tour. Okay.
Especially at Christmas time, they decorate it in the style of the circa 1860s, and it's done very nicely, and candles and those things.
And Buchanan was our only bachelor president.
Yeah,
was
yes.
remarkably the only president from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever suggested that I know of that his face be put on Mount Rushmore. Okay. Let's go. Okay. This is the last question. This Army vet president of the United States became famous for boosting the Navy as a great power. He was an Army vet, but man, did he boost the Navy.
Bill Boswell. Oh, Carol Popchak. Wait.
Who was Teddy Roosevelt?
That's it. Who was Teddy Roosevelt? Yes, he sent the Great White Fleet, which was like 16 ships, on a round-the-world expedition just to show off U.S. Navy power. It took a little bit more than a year, 15 months or something like that. And this is the route that it took. So, man, what a tour that was.
He was a fan of Mahan.
Yes. Alfred Thayer Mahan, he was a big fan of his. Yep. All right. And we do have a final Jeopardy. So let me get that going. Any other comments? Any rebuttal?
Yes. Contrary to popular belief, back in the first Jeopardy, what was the first country invaded by the Marines? I know for a fact that it was a Crayola factory in eastern Pennsylvania.
Oh boy.
Yep. Hey Mark, there's some people in white coats right behind you ready to grab you. Okay?
I couldn't resist.
I know.
We'll humor you. We'll laugh along with you and give you a little humor there. So, but duly
there,
noted.
Mark?
Visit you, Mark.
Duly noted.
What's that?
I said Brad's going to come to visit you.
Yeah.
That's okay. We have lots of crayons around here too.
Yeah.
But down at Buchanan's place.
All I want's a badge from it, Mark. I need a badge, an extra patch on my shoulder. I'm good to go.
Okay.
All right. So Final Jeopardy, I'm going to show it here and give you all a chance to consider it. All right. So the category is language. And here's the question. This language has contributed almost all the words related to the military in the English language. And it's not English.
French.
So think about it. And I mean almost every single military word, almost every single one is traceable to French. It comes from the French. It's really remarkable. It's very strange. Very strange. All right. Somebody who hasn't Carol Popchalk, I'm very disappointed in your performance tonight. I'm just going to say that out loud. We're just gonna pretend that your microphone wasn't working. All right, Carol. Carol, why don't you take a stab at this one?
Todd, I'm here for the laughs tonight. I'm not here to work.
All right.
I learned about belt loops and honor, and
oh.
I'm stunned. But I'm not sure you're aware. You gave the answer in your commentary. It's French, isn't it? What is French?
Did I say it?
Yeah, you said French.
You did.
Why did I say French?
That almost every term can be tied back to the French language.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, I was like, why did he give us the answer?
I kind of just sat there. I was like, that's definitely a trick question. There's no way. I thought it was French, but then I was like, he said it was French. There's no way it's French.
It is French. Sean, just beware. As you age, you start to lose your faculties a bit. And I think that's what happened to me. Yeah, it is French. I'm very sorry I gave that away, but it is totally fascinating. It's really remarkable that almost every single word, save very few, came directly from the French.
That's exactly what you said 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we were trained by French officers during the Revolutionary War. They sent over proper officers. They taught us how to fight wars properly. So it kind of makes sense that some of our directives is coming from France.
I tell you, Chase, though, I would think that if it were like a language that would contribute to the military lexicon, it would be German. That would be my first guess. And that's not the case. Absolutely not the case.
I mean, we didn't really have much experience with the German military up until the point of the First World War and the Battle of Peking.
Yeah, true.
And right. Germany wasn't really Germany until 1870.
Exactly,
yes, that
Bill,
is true.
and that's the key.
States.
That's the and Bill, and Chase and Bill, both of you. That is the key. That when the modern military organization and categories of weapons, when they started coming into their own, France had the largest army in the world, and so they contributed directly to the language.
Some of the words I learned were definitely American while I was in the army.
Hell, the French, even in South Africa during the Boer Wars against England, the French had a artillery piece called Long Tom that could bombard the city of Kimberley, to the point where an American engineer named George Abrams had to invent his own artillery gun called Long Cecil, named after the Kimberley mayor. That also bombarded Boer camps. But then the Long Tom shell, 3 days before the siege was lifted, killed him in his hotel room, and he was given a full military honor by the British government, despite being a American citizen.
Chase, I would like you to write a blog post about that. And we will post it. That sounds like an interesting story.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, he worked for a diamond mine. He was a machine engineer, and he invented all these different things. He invented the watchtower so that they could see the Boers coming.
Wow. You are full of history. Thank you, Chase. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all joining. I can't believe that the time has passed so quickly. Please feel free to go back to your St. Patrick's Day celebrations. I'm sure that you all just pulled yourself out of a bar or two just to come here and you're headed back. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. We have another one scheduled, another one of these scheduled for July. So I think we wanted to do one about every quarter. Maybe we'll get it on the schedule before then, but we'll definitely be doing it in at least 3 or 4 months from now. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us. Take care.